You started talking about from the primary level moving forward and what we missed out on. I would like you to expand on that, especially when it comes to basic education, the exams that we had planned for class 4, among others. What is wrong with our basic education as it stands now? What are the problematic areas from syllabi, curricula, to the bits about teaching? What are the problems, major problems?
So thank you very much. You see, when it comes to the issue of education, and particularly teaching and learning, the employer has three main duties or three main obligations. The first one is to employ a competent staff. Number two is for the employer to provide the tools, the equipment, and all the needed resources that that competent staff will deploy, employ, and put in place to ensure that the required output is achieved. Then the last aspect or duty of the employer is to provide supervision to get these three things done. Now, this thing, having said this, the employee, on the other hand, will have to bring about what we call the HR output, talking about his competence, talking about the issue of his motivation, morale, performance, attitude, and all those things to bear on the delivery of the output. Now, when you come specifically to the primary level, it will shock you to hear that in the year 2019-2020 academic year, and specifically in the year 2019, from September to December, the capitation grant was paid. And when you when you entered into the year 2022, January to March also was paid. And so in the year 2020, that was the last time the capitation grant was paid, up to March 2020. The remaining months, nothing was paid. The whole year of 2021, nothing was paid. And then in the year 2022, only one was paid. And when that money was paid, they were asked to use 50% of that particular money to write exam. The question is this: if you employ a competent staff, and that competent staff is not provided with all the needed tools, equipment, and material to deliver, what else do we expect? Don't let us forget that the World Bank's country report, that on the Human Index report in 2018, made it clear that if care is not taken, 56% of our human capital will go waste, owing to quality of education that is provided for our people. Look, we have gotten to a stage where, regardless of what we do, if we do not put in the required resources at all the levels, particularly at the KG levels. Look, my brother, consistently, if you go to look at our KG level, it will shock you about the happenings in the teaching and learning at that particular stage. And we are also told that in Ghana, if you look at the statistics, the number of children born every year is approximately 700,000. And so if we are in a country where approximately about 700,000 children are born every year, the question is, what kind of provisions are we making for them, such that by the time that they get to age 4, we can guarantee that we have enough KG classrooms and all that. Time will not permit me to go into the budget as regarding what we started as far back as 2017. Having spoken about the issue of the primary, and let me come to the SHS aspect. Look, if you look at the SHS aspect carefully, in fact, government must be commended. As for the free SHS, we must all commend government for that bold initiative. Nobody can take that away from government. Since the implementation of the free SHS, we can all testify to the fact that at least we have 1.2 million of our children who are now in school, and they would not have been in school but for the free SHS. So that particular policy deserves commendation. But in as much as we are commending government for that bold initiative, we believe that the time is right for the policy to be reviewed. Why do we say that? In fact, as far back as 2017, the Ghana National Association of Teachers made it clear that instead of adopting the equality approach, it would be better for us to use the equity one, or what is called in policy development as redistributive approach. Because for far too long we've been doing what we call the distributive, which is also the same as the equality approach. But going by the equity approach, let us give it to those who need it more and those who can afford. Let us see also how they can come into help. Having said that particular one, the three SHS, the funding aspect is quite difficult. Look, if you take feeding specifically, the amount of money that is paid there is 5 cedis 20 pesos. And of this amount, I repeat, is 5 cedis 20 pesos per day. Now, per this particular amount, you have about 70% that goes to the buffer stock company. 70% of that particular money goes to the buffer stock company. And if you calculate it, that is about 3.44 there about Ghana cedis. And the remaining, that is about 1 cedi 56 pesos or so, also goes to the school. And it is that particular same money that the school, that 1 cedi 56 pesos or so, that is what they will use for the school maintenance. They use to buy perishables and to the extent running the schools. Because the government subvention for the past 2 years or so, that money has not been paid. Has not been paid. And that tells us the kind of difficulty the schools will run. Because if there is no funding, the schools don't have money. How will they run the schools? How will they run the schools? So these are challenges that we cannot run away from. And we need to do everything to get it done. Particularly in the interest of quality teaching and learning. And like I have said, if we do not provide that kind of resources to help the schools, I tell you, we will run into difficulty regardless of all our good intent and purpose that we might have. This is my plenary comment for now.
I want